Absolutely. In the top right-hand side, we actually have teammates as well from the SSLT. I like to call them the Hungry Camels. In the top right, blue Protoss player, it is Firefly.
In the bottom left is the red Protoss. It is Cyan. I had to wait for the dramatic zoom.
Yeah, sometimes I forget I'm the observer still. You're like, Cyan, I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm like, oh no, that's my cue as well.
Yeah, well, you know, it's understandable. You're only doing everything an entire production team did. So just round of applause for Wardy. Thanks for covering for me for the first best of 3 as well. And sorry to chat for missing out. Apparently it wasn't too much of a best of 3, but apparently I hope I came here for the good one. Because, yeah, PvP is very enjoyable. And while Altitude does tend to lean more into the late game or mid game at the very least, I also find that enjoyable. So, yes, we do have the gateway expands coming down and the typical probe scout to try and block that out. But, I mean, we can still get aggression, actually, shortly after. And, in fact, Firefly's still working off of only 1 gas. Cyan went up to 2 already.
Yeah, a little bit of a difference between the two. I mean, Firefly's also only mining 1 work on 1 gas, so he's going absolutely all out, just eco, ready to drop this Nexus, but it doesn't exactly help when you're getting blocked, and Firefly finally going to decide, oh, I guess I should drop the Cyber Core first, but that was a bit of a delay on what could have been an earlier Cyber Core here, because he obviously wanted the Nexus, now he takes the gas, now he takes an extra pylon, and this probe block is actually just throwing Firefly completely off, I feel like.
Yes, I do feel like that is true, which is quite unfortunate. I mean, maybe not as practiced in the gateway expand shenanigans, because this is kind of part of the course, isn't it? The probe scout should come in to make sure you don't just get a Nexus down as soon as you want, and then the shenanigans ensue. So I gotta make a zealot, maybe I'll fake out that chrono, maybe I won't, and then the dance, of course, of the probe. But yeah, it is finally gonna come down for Firefly. Cyan's still working on that block back on his side of things, but the zealot is out, and it should be clear momentarily.
Yep, this pylon's going to drop low, and now you have freedom to expand if you want to, but Cyan has put down a Stargate first, so we'll have that little bit of tech on his side. He'll be able to do something with that. Stalker pops out, helps to kill off this probe, make sure there's no more blocking, and of course this Nexus can still drop, and that's the expectation. With the faster Stargate and the ability to have an Oracle or so...
Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Who would do that? Who would do that? Cyan does that. Okay, changing out the Stargate for a Robo. I mean, I was already going to point out that Firefly hasn't gotten any technology at all, just adding on that second gateway so far, but are they going to get a follow-up scout? I guess Cyan was able to scout that they obviously didn't go into an Adept, it was Zealot Stalker, so figuring that they're going to be clear to kind of hide this for an extended period of time, that is weird.
Yeah, that's very fun. What do you think we get out of this Robo? Just a Prism, a bunch of units, and we just go and attack and just sort of catch your opponent off guard who's maybe playing a bit greedy, expecting a Stargate, battery and a mineral line, but then can kind of just tech up otherwise. Like a couple Stalkers should deflect an Oracle and we're good to go, so the Prism might be able to punish. An Immortal even. Okay, wow. Even more aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly what that plan was, but if you just think it through, if the plan was to get ahead a little bit economically, like in a macro game, like a typical game, let's say, then a Twilight Council is generally that option. So, exchanging it for a Twilight Council and being like, aha, I got 30-second faster blink or something, could have made sense, I suppose. But the Robo tends to lean towards aggression or safety. But if you're the one that's kind of mind gaming and you got such a good scout, then I'm going to lean towards aggression. So the Immortal coming out, potentially a War Prism afterwards. I love the Hallucinate Oracle, and then not using it so that it doesn't get damaged, I mean, is a little sus, but Cyan's control of the Oracle has so far, I think, avoided getting hits, but still making sure that it was appeared in Firefly's vision.
Here we go. There's the scout. The hallucination gets to see the sentries and Immortal moving across the map, and now you're just going to be like, okay, well, battery time. Didn't have a battery ready in the front before now starts up 2. There's only, I guess, the pylon in the top left will at least power one of them, if not both, so that is a little bit of an aid. Otherwise, that pylon in the front, though, powers 2 gateways. If that goes down, you're losing production. That's a big deal as well, as we hallucinate the Colossus for high ground vision.
I saw laser beams and I was like, wait a minute. Am I still very groggy? That's very confusing. But yes, that is a Colossus. Well, there's no observer, so again, of course, Firefly figures that it's not actually real, but the AI cannot determine that. So it will tank a couple of extra shots if you don't focus fire. But so far, Firefly with the focus fire at least tapped one of the Immortals. Second one comes up too, however, and this is Well, a long, drawn-out battle, because again, that Colossus is not real, man.
Yeah, Colossus isn't really doing much. The Immortals obviously pack a punch. We have not used our super battery yet. Going to pop it now to save the gateway, which I do like. You're going to see a force field on the ramp there. The Prism here now to reinforce. We're going to get extra sentries, really reliant on these force fields to be able to dictate what's going on. But Stalkers are about to have Blink on the side of Firefly, and that should help him a lot when it comes to defending here. We'll see what he can do. Loses a gateway, however, so that's going to limit his production once again. Still has 2 gates up, though. That isn't kind of completely doom and gloom. I guess losing the Cyber Core would be very painful, though. No more Stalkers if that goes down.
Yeah, absolutely. No more sentries either, in case that is necessary for time buying. However, you know, that hallucinated Phoenix, I think, really just saved Firefly's life as he blinks forward, grabs the Warp Prism, and, of course, the 2 Immortals that have lost their Hardened Shield. And this will be a cleanup here for Firefly without the Cybernetic X-Core. Still had enough units at the very last second to push this entirely back. And then where does that leave us, Wardy? Is this a macroable game for both of them?
40 to 45 workers? Yeah, I mean, I did like it a bit less for Cyan because Immortal can't reset, and obviously Blink Stalker's coming across the map. Now, he's got to be a defender, so I feel like Firefly gets into a better position overall, and yeah, we'll control the map. And even if you don't do anything here, just having your opponent penned in is already allowing you to take a third base versus no third base, right? So, yeah, I'd say macroable for both, but definitely with Firefly maybe on the edge. That defense was big for him, and especially not just the defense, but the cleanup, right? Getting rid of the 2 Immortals, getting rid of the Prism, removes so much more of what Cyan could continue to have done otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it would have been dangerous for Cyan to hang around with the Warp Prism and 2 Immortals because Blink was finished, but I mean, at least it would have been something a little bit longer to potentially get something out in the map. As we are on a big map, Firefly's going to take a long time to get across, which it still happened fast enough to, as you were saying, contain Cyan. Firefly even is still rallying across the map as he catches 2 Adepts. We're definitely supposed to sneak across the map. Now it's just the 1, and that's found as well. Firefly does seem to be all over the follow-up, ensuring his lead when it comes to that 3rd Nexus. But Cyan probably just going to go for another all-in, right? Just add on gateways, other Immortal and Blink, and just go for it?
I guess so, right? I mean, you're stuck on 2 bases. It feels like the more you stay on 2 bases, the more you've just got to go. Because obviously that 3rd base is up for Firefly, but it's not really being too useful yet. It's only just given a little bit of beyond 2 base saturation, so I wouldn't say it'd be terrible. And if you go soon, you do have that Immortal advantage. The longer you wait, the worse this gets for you, 100%. And maybe you could kind of take a Robo Bay and just start Disruptors and just play from that little bit of a deficit and know that you need to get at least a Disruptor shot or 2 to help you out. I just don't like that as much as just kind of pulling the trigger. I think you should just go, even on this bigger map, just commit. And there's a lot of power in this army. He is going to start going, but there's also a Forge on the way down, so Cyan isn't even fully committed to this. He's got kind of a backup plan as well. I wish he'd just full send it one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, total agreement. That Forge is a little bit weird, I guess, as far as a backup plan. It's not the most expensive because it doesn't cost any gas, but certainly don't start an upgrade. He basically just said, no, he starts an upgrade. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think the all-in is the good choice. This still has a lot of heat on it. Even with that shield battery, just wait it out. It's not targetable. Firefly noticing actually gets a 2nd one. That's a good idea. And a 3rd one. That's an excellent idea. If he holds here, he is going to be ahead. So just put all your resources into holding.
Yeah, you just defend, right? And we've got Zealots as well, which are a great buffer usually. If they can absorb some of the Immortal shots, you do take away a bit of the power from Cyan, who has got a lot of those Immortals, but he's also got Sentries to help dictate how this fight might go, where this fight can happen. First Immortal taking some heavy hits is going to go down. That's already a big loss here, as one of the big firepower units is removed early in this battle. And just going to see another one going down very quickly as well. It looks as though Firefly is all over this push.
He's got his own Immortal coming in, which is going to be big. That Warp Prism of Cyan could be trying to save him. There we go. Other Immortals are just a little bit out of range. But Charlotte's coming in as well, taking away the micro ability, and there's that blink forward to really seal the deal. Firefly takes game 1, and a very amusing game. I'm glad it lived up to my expectations.
You know, it was definitely a wake-up call, CG. You had to be awake to to see everything that was going on in this series, because it was just wild. I mean, you cancel the Stargate, you go Robo, you have that full attack, and then you actually get cleaned up on the end of it. Like, it felt like Cyan was doing everything well, just didn't get away soon enough. The blink from Firefly obviously gave him so much potential to chase and clean up, and yeah, in the end, Firefly just able to kind of get the win. I still don't know what this Forge was for, though. I just got to bring it up one more time. Like, why did we have this Forge and +1 starting? Like, was this not obviously an all-in? And to the point where by the time +1 finishes, the game's either won or lost. Like, this isn't like the fight might last a while. +1 at that point is not going to be making the difference. A little surprised about that part, I guess.
Yeah, I can't really explain that one. I don't think it's realistic that he would contain in this situation, considering, I don't know, it's really difficult to contain your opponent on that third base, particularly. The natural makes a lot of sense, but the third base, unless you're already ahead, which it was still a very close game, yeah, I don't think you're going to get a contain. So trying to kind of like fake aggression into some good macro, it would have had to last the entire time of a +1 upgrade and a third Nexus, right? Because that's something he didn't have. So very unlikely. But yeah, I think the real kicker, the culprit of why Cyan lost is that hallucination, or Firefly. Wait, it's early. Forgive me. Is the hallucination, right? It came across the map, so perfectly timed to still see the robo units on the way. I mean, it would not have been surprising for the hallucination not to come out, the sentry not to be built, because the Oracle was so expected.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very good point. Like, you got that scout like last minute, but it was still a scout and able to kind of really start responding from there. I mean, in a game that, you know, it was close, right, as well. Like, if you were just that little bit less prepared, if the batteries don't come down as soon, maybe it's more than just chipping away at the gateway to start. Maybe you just wander up into the natural, and then that's obviously really troubling. So, yeah, Firefly being able to just have any extra moments to prepare for that, really got to say that would have helped. As we have our game 2, going to happen on Grezvan as far as maps go. This is a little bit more aggressive because you've got no ramp on the natural, so it does open up some more things. We're likely going to see 2-gate expands or 2-gate base builds here rather than 1-gate expansions with the ramp. So, yeah, we're going to be continuing through that, as we will hopefully be in game in just a couple of moments. I think the admin was just taking a moment to let me know something about our next match.
Oh, all right. Well, I did check the results between these two. Obviously, I didn't have much time beforehand. They play a ton of best of 5s together, man. Best of 7 as well. Jeez. They're playing through all these Sunrise Cups. Anyways, Cyan has won the last 4 times that they met, but it was all super close, 3-2, 3-1, 3-2, 4-3. So they are very evenly matched, I suppose, overall. But it is Cyan favored. And, you know, obviously he gets the W, so that's what's most important. So, I mean, he tries a bit of a sneaky sneak in the first game, might find it more effective on the second game, and we are going into that type of map that does encourage the 2 gateway openers, which I'm not gonna say can like result in more tricks, because obviously last game had a trick, but I think can move into like a lot more early game aggression and all-ins, such as, you know, the proxy robo.
No, that's definitely true. Yeah, you know, you mentioned the history of these two. It's kind of funny for me. I guess we'll do intros first. Go on then. I'll talk, even because I'm the observer, so I'm on edge waiting for the intro, even though I'm going to do it. Intros first. In the bottom right-hand corner, our red Protoss player is going to be Cyan.
And in the top left, we do have the teal Protoss. Now it's blue. Firefly.
It's definitely not teal.
No, it's not teal.
Have to disagree on that one. But yeah, for me, these two players were actually like kind of the rising kind of star from China for, you know, in different periods. Like Cyan back in, I think, 2015, 2016, had like a really good run at kind of an international event that was held in China, but had like Parting there. I think Parting won, and he put up an amazing fight against Parting in like the semis or so. And then he kind of just fell off. And then Firefly was kind of this player in 2018, 2019. He was like, hey, look, I'm the star in China. I'm kind of the rising player. And then he kind of just hit a wall and kind of fell off, and they've both kind of like fallen off and then risen back in the last year or so, especially to be at the level they're at today. While basically Oliveira has obviously dominated the Chinese region since then. So, yeah, just kind of funny how these two have almost had such similar storylines in StarCraft, just a couple years apart from each other.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. That's a nice parallel. Obviously not getting as much, I guess, light shined on them. Due to, of course, some of the inaccessibility of the foreign events, especially lately. But yeah, different time periods where they were really the rising stars of their regions. And now, well, Oliveira is expected to dominate in, well, for instance, this tournament. Cyan is going for that, just hidden pylon and is not keeping their probe next to it. So this isn't going to be a full-on committal. But considering what he just showed, I mean, Firefly should be really paranoid of not seeing the second pylon.
I mean, missing a pylon is obviously a pretty big deal, and Firefly has that info. It's just always a question of, is it real? Is it fake? He is on the way to scout it. If he keeps on in this direction, he is going to go past it. So that's just nice to know that you don't actually have something proxied coming your way, and now you can just breathe a little sigh of relief here.
Yeah, it's actually fantastic. It doesn't seem like very much, like it doesn't scout something important, right? Like a Robo or Stargate, but having that knowledge of what it isn't is big news. Probe in the main base of Cyan finally gets taken down, but not before it does see that it was at a depth opener. Firefly is going to go ahead and opt for a one-base Twilight Council, so jump-starting his technology, potentially turning into aggression, but we'll find out. Actually set his stalkers all the way over here to kill this pylon. That's risky, That's a very far distance away from his base.
Yeah, because you're just out of position. So this pylon, in a way, I guess, is almost a bait in this regard. It's like, oh, well, if you do want to come clean it up, opportunity for me. These Adepts have a chance to shade on by. There is a probe in position. The Adepts will not even get up the ramp, so we won't see anything happen. In the end, it looks like Firefly gets away with it. He's going to continue these Stalkers, though. A couple more of them already heading forward through the bottom, a couple in the top. And Firefly, yeah, looking as though he wants to come across the map and at least poke and prod. He does get the faster base down, but it's a Robo and a third gateway out of Cyan, so he's going to keep the aggression up going into this game, too.
Ooh. Yes, he is. So he doesn't end up proxying with it, but he absolutely is going to go into 3-gate Robo all in. For Firefly, I guess basically saying, I know I can block my high ground. Well, he failed on that one, so I just... All right, so I think what he wanted to say, right, is I can block my high ground, so I don't mind sending my stalkers out to supply block you. But he doesn't block the next Adept shade in, which I believe killed the probe and then just skedaddled because it didn't get anywhere close to the mineral line. Yeah. But that now makes me a little worried. Those Adepts are going to get in the mineral line. And even if they don't, they are a big distraction. Firefly, maybe he doesn't realize what's going on quite yet. Oracle is flying across the map, once again faking that out. And then Firefly also proxying a gateway, but I mean, he has a Nexus kind of weighing him down. Cyan is just full on one base committed.
Yeah, there's absolutely the big difference, right? Just the one base commitment. We're going to see now Robo. We're going to see a third gateway. The Adepts do commit in. They're looking for the sentry, and they do get it. So taking away some of the defensive capability here as well. And obviously, Cyan is about to hit at the front door. So there's nothing on the low ground. This Nexus, a lot of the time, just has to be sacrificed here. I mean, Firefly is going to come to the low ground too. We do need the Prism. We do need more warp-ins. We're not far from Firefly having Blink, though, which is really a massive turning point in this game because Blink will allow these Stalkers to trade so much better against their counterparts.
Is he trying to buy time? This is a very dangerous thing to do, but it is working, and Blink is going to finish, so he can hopefully get back up on his high ground through maybe the left ledge.
Yeah.
Or he's going to try and dive on the Warp Prism, but that dive would cost him a lot of his Stalkers. I don't think that's actually a good idea. But coming in from behind, that could snipe the Warp Prism without having a Blink.
Yeah, I kind of liked this if he still had a sentry to make sure these units don't get up into the base. That's going to be a little strange. We ping the Prism a little bit. He's just trying to do this in what I would call the most difficult way possible, right? It's extremely fancy. It just doesn't feel like it needed to be quite this fancy. He is going to get the cancel on the warp in, but he's obviously used Blink on these Stalkers over here, and he doesn't really have the numbers. This might have been more okay, obviously, if he just hadn't lost so much up until this point. However, Cyan has to finish the Nexus, so doing that costs him a little bit of firing time, and with reinforcements, Firefly pushes it away. And we are going to be sitting with, what, no base on either side of the map. Cyan now able to build an Immortal defensively, but Firefly having the Blink. Two very different positions.
Yeah, but I do like Blink. I mean, PvP has moved over into basically 95% of PvPs having Blink for a reason. Over that Immortal, which, that stay-at-home has to be really well-controlled, really babysitted, actually. And, of course, Firefly also has the Proxy Gateway, which is encouraging him to go for a counterattack. But once again, even with Blink, the numbers aren't really there to make it a totally convincing fight. And now we have Daddy Immortal over here. That's definitely going to push this away, even with the reinforcements coming in. That just, again, was not a convincing fight. So it was kind of a wash, basically, in which I think Firefly could have used the Stalkers before he lost them to do a bit more of a contain, not a direct initiation.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just feel like, I'm absolutely with you. Just one of these situations which is just so... turned out to be so strange to see Stalkers and the Immortal actually going to come through, knock down a pylon. However, now the Immortal is going to get picked off, and again we're going to see the power of the Blink being able to kind of jump on a fight and well, being able to trade here a little while longer, still just going Stalker for Stalker, but now has more. He should be able to get everything. There's nothing on the natural still defensively, and we actually just warped in a couple of Adepts across the map, try and make something with those. Sentries are going to have to try and save the day, but we're going to lose 2 pylons. I guess that's not an immediate issue for Cyan, but it is adding up.
It is, but I don't think we're necessarily wrong to be like, oh, Firefly is being a little over-aggressive, as that 2 Adepts get into his main base again, force a recall. It's just that Cyan also made a mistake, right? Going so aggressive as to go and kill that pylon, when the second option was building a shield battery and then having his Immortal up against that. Now, it wouldn't have an overcharge because there's no Nexus, but a shield battery is still a very difficult thing to bust when you have one Immortal working on a second that's now even closer to reinforcing, and in whatever warp-ins you're doing as well. But the way it went that it did, and so Firefly does, I think, take back a little bit of that control after winning kind of the fight around the proxy gateway, and well, certainly is winning now with the Nexus finishing up. But Cyan maybe just again gonna go super aggressive, just build units and then go across the map. No, okay, he's gonna get a Nexus. It's so late, though.
Yeah, it's extremely late, especially in comparison to the Nexus over on the side of Firefly, finished up on location and, well, already mining. So, just away we go. Firefly will start to take a little bit of an edge, get his own robo up, and of course still has Blink in his favor. Is just an absolutely massive advantage as well in my eyes. It's, yeah, 3 Immortals just, you mentioned babysitting them. How do they ever move across the map safely against Stalkers? Well, they just don't really. I mean, it can work, but it's just such a dangerous affair, and the problem is then you're being the defender with the less eco-focused position. It should have been Cyan that dropped the expansion first.
I think so. Yeah, I really think this could have gone the opposite way, considering their respective positions. But then they both were aggressive at perhaps odd times, and well, that has obviously put Cyan very far behind. You know what I kind of like him to do, which he's not doing, so... Well, here's a hypothesis that's not really important. I kind of almost wish that he went into charge and just went like charge that Archon Immortal all in on 2 bases.
Yeah. Because
basically, I just want him to all in is my stance. I don't think he's going to recover if he tries to play out the long game. Although their probe count is very similar, so it's not as terrible as it felt with the Nexus timing. But yeah, it is going to go into Blink versus Blink with 3 Immortals, I guess, on the side of Cyan that maybe could make it across the map depending on this game went.
Yeah, but I mean, as we continue through, now we're talking about Immortals on the side of Firefly too, so even that being an advantage is dissipating quickly. Firefly with 1 gateway on the map that's still not powered up, of course, denied earlier. And the Cyan gets the Prism, I guess it might be time to go. Extra sentries are generally used offensively in this matchup, so as you warp in a few of those, I really believe we're about to just send it across to the other side, and yeah, away we go.
All right, yeah, so he's going to 2 base all in. It's going to be with Blink and Immortals and Sentries. Not the Charge Archon, which is totally fine, by the way. Like, Charge Archon, there's a reason why it died down, and again, has a lot to do with having to babysit and get across the map. Because, you can only do so much against the Blink Stalker mobility. But if he is going to have Blink, he's going to have to actually get Stalkers, so that count is only just now increasing. Firefly currently at 11 Stalkers, Cyan at 5, but of course 3 Immortals to 2. Warp Prism juggling also going to be a big factor, but going to be difficult to crack someone who has a bigger army supply and shield batteries and an overcharge. So yeah, good luck, Cyan.
He's put down the Forge, this is it. The all-in's confirmed, TG. Don't believe his move back. This is his signature move. You build the Forge and then you all in. I'm not convinced Cyan's not going to go for it. In all seriousness, though, now he does back up, right? And it's just even... I don't disagree necessarily because Firefly had every advantage you could think of, and it didn't look like it was going to work. But you're playing from behind, Cyan. You've got to do something at some stage that improves your position. And, I mean, there's a Dark Shrine, and I love that, but maybe that should have been a priority rather than a, oh, well, now I guess we're going to add that on and just see what we can do with it, because he needs something, right? I mean, worker count is even, yes, but the upgrades, plus 2 already starting, charge are going to be done. These are things that Firefly can use massively in the next few moments, I think, to really, take this lead and just push it further.
Right, exactly. Immediately starting up that +2, getting in the charge. I mean, could add on some Archons if he wanted and try and just literally go for it. He doesn't really have to move over into Disruptors, for instance, which might actually slow him down if he waits for Disruptors when he could probably have a killing move on Cyan. So I like that Firefly is going to position himself. I think he's the one that can like start moving his hands around the guy's face and be like, I'm not touching you. And then if he wants to, he could punch him. But yeah, initially just be like, yeah, I'm around, you know, respect me. But it is funny how they keep on having such similar economies because the game it's one of those games where it was one base versus one base for a long time, right? So Firefly literally doesn't have to build so many more probes because he transferred them from the main base because he was already out of minerals there. So that's why they keep on matching each other's probe count, is they're staying on the bases so long, I suppose, even if the bases are faster. Now that the third base is up and there's still a lot of minerals to saturate, you would expect Firefly to get ahead. But again, Cyan seems pretty comfortable on his probe count, maybe only going to get those minerals up and then just like full send it. But he doesn't have charge, so he can't do that, actually. No, he should get any gases. Well, that might happen eventually, maybe not. He's not producing all 3 probes given the opportunity. He is producing those DTs, however. And where do they get warped in?
Yep, up on the top side, going to grab a couple of these DTs already and send them up through toward, I guess, the main base. Could obviously drop one off and just wander it into the third. And hey, these DTs have a lot of potential. We are chrono boosting out a observer, though, so that should give you a little bit of a better chance to deal with this. Stalker's getting in position. The Prism gets punched away for the moment, so nothing too exciting just yet. And this army of Cyan begins to move toward the upper left-hand side. Stalkers, Sentries, and Immortals all together. But are we ever going to actually go? I don't think so. Cyan is just so... I just don't feel like he really knows what he wants to do in this position. He's still figuring it out.
Yeah, I think that is true. I don't think this is some like 1,000 IQ, like I'll move and then back away and then I'll move and then I'll back away and then he'll be confused. But I do think it's probably confusing Firefly a little bit too. I think overall Firefly is playing the cleaner game. Cyan has had more problems with being convinced it's going to go one way and then it goes another way. So he has fallen behind, but I wouldn't be surprised if Firefly is also like, yeah, you're going to attack. Wait, no, okay, all right, so I'm going to continue on, right? And then what is also confusing me is Cyan going for this TT blink, but it looks, Wardy, like it's really going to go into a long game, right? Like, even after everything seemed to be going Firefly's way, I still think he has the better army, right? With the upgrades and the Archon count and charge actually being done. Cyan is figuring that he can get to a 4th base and harass with mass DTs and DT Blink, and he's not actually wrong. The DT squad is in the bottom left, and with Blink, that's going to be a real bother. And Firefly just showed that his army's still like all the way to the top right. Cyan, that was probably the time to go. But the DTs, not his army.
Yeah, DTs, go. It's finally time to do something. They just sat there, finally they're on the move. I mean, there's a second cannon building. Go! Stop stopping! I mean, maybe the observer sees the armies here as well. There's no reason for these DTs to keep on delaying. As, yeah, this army's an issue, but these DTs got to get started. They're going to blink onto the cannon in the natural. Finally, we're going to start dealing some damage. Immediately kills off the warpins as well. Well, now it's kind of down to Firefly to get something done. He does at least have an obs with this army. Can he deal with the DTs at all? He's going to recall! Oh, that's bad.
He got the Nexus, amazing. However, that's still a bit of a problem, to be honest. I actually kind of wish that a recall would go off. Like, weirdly enough, that recall probably should have happened, and then the DTs could have blinked out, and then Cyan doesn't have a gigantic army entering into his natural, but now he does.
Yeah, I actually think it was better for Firefly that the recall got cancelled, because now, like, it was horrible, the split that he had as well. It wasn't like all of his army, it was like half of it. It was a real mess. Now, he actually has a pretty good shot at just winning a fight. He's going to stay in the natural. He does not have a way to reinforce this army. I think it's his biggest issue. Good force fields. Going to keep some of the Immortals in the front so he can chew through those. And he just has so many tech units that has got to be making a big part of the difference right now.
But Firefly just lost his 3rd Nexus too. He's on 2 Nexus, well, 1 really mining. Wait, is there an observer? Wardy, there is an observer. It's actually out of position a little bit. He has to bring it forward. There he does bring it forward, but the DT's
go behind.
They're doing so much damage in the back. What the heck is happening?
Oh, that was just funny because the observer just sieged up. He's like, okay, I'm fine, like, you know, DTs, and then they blinked back behind the army, and it was actually an awesome play, whether Cyan realized it or not. And did you still see? I mean, this is finally going to be just too many units. Firefly has to get out of here. He has got an army lead. He's actually got reinforcements showing up, so this blink forward may not be as good as it seems. He didn't get the Prism either, so reinforcements may still continue through. Of course, we've got no tech units pretty much on either side. 1/2 Archon here from Firefly at this point is just going to save that, take it towards the main, and I guess we just run into this main where all the production is, force the fight. That's going to do it. GG. Firefly is going to take game number 2 and the series, ZG, as he